Welcome to Indiana Sports Beat Radio, presented by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Know your role and shut your mouth, you jabroni!
Fires upfield into the end zone, and it's caught. Jelani Woods, touchdown, INDY! A 43-point night for Tyrese Halliburton.
How do you like that, partner?
Renew now, drives in low, throws up a shot. It doesn't go. Tipped up and in by Anthony Leal. Indiana takes the lead.
It's pretty simple. I win. Google me.
Now, here's your host, Jim Coyle.
Hey, everybody. Welcome aboard on this Wednesday. Thank you so much for being with us. As always, we greatly appreciate you, no matter how, when, and where you're listening. We love you. Thanks a lot. Another big show coming up today. Dylan Sinn joining us from the Fort Wayne Journal-Gazette. Kyle Neddenriep, of course, from the Indy Star. And Rick Bozich, our good friend from WDRB.com. Getting caught back up. Another big show coming up on Friday. Braylon Mullins will be joining us. So looking forward to talking to him before he heads off to the NBA Top 100 camp. A loaded show tomorrow as well. So it's a packed week. Yesterday had some fun talking to Trent Sisley and former Hoosier Devontae Green. Nice to see the Andy Moore comment section loaded and ready to roll already. Appreciate everybody jumping on from all over. Of course, Indiana Sports Beat Radio, powered by Andy Moore Honda, with the best in new and used vehicles. Just go to AndyMooreHonda.com to get more to your door in the best in new and used vehicles, like I said. Also, the Autograph app, where real fans get unreal rewards. You can just download the Autograph app at the Google Play or Apple App Store and have that at your disposal. Make sure you use code ISB Media to get that downloaded as well. We get some credit for that. What's up today, middle of the week? Big game coming up tonight, of course, in the All-Star Series. Speaking of talking to Trent Sisley yesterday, tonight the juniors take on the seniors, and in a game that, according to him, is something that they're looking forward to more so than the one against Kentucky that they played on Sunday that they won. I think this is going to be a hell of a game. I mean, these juniors, they've got a squad, man. I was thinking yesterday, Desmond Briscoe, he's a big part of that Indiana elite team. I didn't give him enough credit either. His game has come along. He's gone to hitting some 3-point shots in his game. That's not something that he used to carry around, but I saw him add that a bit as well. So looking forward to the rest of those games. And then you get back to the 3 SSB schedule, that those championships, CYBL coming up in July, TBT coming up in July. And then guess what? It's August in football. Man, it just doesn't end, but that's okay. That's why we're here, right? Biggest news yesterday, and I'm still shaking my head. Major League Baseball suspends 5 players, 4 of them for an entire season, including former Indiana pitcher, Mr. Andrew Saalfrank. Left Indiana after the 2019 season, I believe. But he receives a 1-year ban for gambling. None of those as bad as Tucupita. Was it Morcano? He's gone for life. I mean, a lifetime ban. The first active Major League player to be suspended for gambling for life in 100 years in Major League Baseball. Just a little surprising. Now, you may be asking yourselves why, which was the first thing that came to my mind, why? Why are you doing this? It seems a lot of these games go back to like the 2021, 2022 season. I don't think everybody knew that the technology was as prominent as it is to busting you. And like Andrew Saalfrank, for example, his bets came between September 9th of 2021 through October 29th of 2021. So there was a 7-week period. He was in the minor leagues. All those guys were in the minor leagues except for Borcano and I think it was Mike Kelly. He was on a minor league assignment at the time. But anyway, so there's a 7-week period in 2021 that Andrew Saalfrank made some bets, and then on March 9th of 2022. Why that particular day, I don't know. That's a long span in between. Well, I guess the season ended for one. But he placed a grand total of 29 bets. 28 of those were on Major League Baseball games, and one on a college game, of which he lost. Lost $1.80 on that bet. He bet a grand total over all those bets of $445, less than $16 per bet. He had a net loss of $272 plus the $1.80 he lost on the college game. Now add in the $700,000 loss in salary from being suspended for the 2024 season now. And again, you ask, why? Well, I don't think that they knew that all of this technology was in place. And I think the what was it, Alabama and whomever they were playing last year when they caught that bet being made between a coach and someone who placed a bet, and the Shotani things that have all come up. You're going to get caught if you're doing things you're not supposed to be doing. They're going to catch you, man. This goes back 3 years. So I didn't realize they were going backwards, but they probably wouldn't have been, but they were tipped off by a legal betting provider to finding all this out. But man, was it worth it? Saalfrank, I think he was on a 1-year deal, so that means you're still kind of floating in, trying to stay up there. But man, yeah, I'm sure he, along with the rest of the guys, regretted horribly. But it's also the fact that it didn't happen again. It didn't happen in 2023. It hadn't happened in 2024. I think that the message was received by these guys that, oh, wow, we can't be betting. They weren't betting on any of the teams that they were on at the time. The funny thing is, Tucupita, the guy that got the lifetime ban, I don't think he won a single major league bet that he made. I mean, he was not only, he wasn't a very good gambler. So, but man, you want to talk about some big time money washed down the commode. There it goes. Crazy. But that's a big time story, man. A lifetime ban from a sport is not something you see every day. But it shows the continued clash of old school society and the things that are happening today with all of the betting and everything else that has gone hog wild. But it should give you, or does it? These guys they got caught, but they didn't get caught because there were systems in place. They got caught because somebody spilled the beans. Now, I don't know if they spilled the beans 3+ years ago, and if so, Why the hell did it take that long to investigate that? Like for Saul Frank, for example, why did it take that long to investigate a grand total of, what did I say, 29 bets? It's been 3 years, man. $445, not $445,000. We're not talking about practice. We're not talking about a game. We're talking about practice. So, but, yep, I would sure like to have that salary that's lost. How's everybody doing? Appreciate everybody jumping on the Andy Moore Honda hotline. Like I said, got any questions? Yeah, 4% of his bets. It's crazy. Can you learn from the past, Pete Rose? No, they can't. They cannot, or they did not. And you would think, man, they didn't even have the technology back in Pete Rose's day, but of course Pete Rose was betting like a maniac. Yeah. Back then I get it. There you didn't have the advent of cell phones everywhere, all that communication, but what the hell were these guys thinking? I know that it was made clear to them that they couldn't, because if it hadn't been, you'd see a lot more of this, but you're not. It should make you feel good that these things are being policed. Like I said, though, Major League Baseball didn't catch these guys. They were tipped off by but I'm like thinking, okay, well, how did he know about all of it? He couldn't have known about all of them unless they were all placing bets through a particular service. Russell's feeling spicy today. Well, it is Wednesday, so that should help you get you started through the rest of the week. Singing from the other room on breaks is golden content by itself. Oh, man, that's something that I can usually provide a good some comedy relief to, because my singing is definitely comedy relief. Looking forward to talking to Dylan Sinn today from the Fort Wayne Journal-Gazette. Kyle Neddenriep, of course, joining us. We're going to talk about tonight's game between the juniors and the seniors. And as you heard Trent Sisley yesterday, those guys, this game against the seniors means more than the game that they played against Kentucky. And I get it. It's like playing your big brother. They're a year older. It's the class older. I mean, it's not a great deal of the time that the little brother can take care of business. I need to look up the series and see how long. It's only been going on, I don't know, it's less than 10 years. But to see if the juniors have won that game yet, kind of curious. Brian says Sisley has the politically correct answers down. He didn't give anything away. Well, there's nothing to give away. See, there's nothing to give away. That's he hasn't. There's no decisions. I'm telling you, he hasn't made a decision. He doesn't have to make a decision right now. I guarantee you the decision is not made in his head. Without question. We've got to take a break. We've got lots more coming up, including Dylan Sinn from the Fort Wayne Journal-Gazette. We'll talk more about the games coming up tonight and this weekend, and the NBA Top 100 camp as well. Much more as well. Wonder how my Reds are doing. Have to check in on them during the break and see if that's something we can talk about as well, because they've been stinking it up. Last year it was the Cardinals in last place. Now the daggone Reds have done it on a year that I thought they were going to do something. We've got lots more coming up, brought to you by our good friends at Autograph, where real fans get unreal rewards. The first app to track and reward fans for loving what they love most, turning passion into access and experiences. Download the Autograph app in either the Apple App Store or Google Play today. Autograph, where unhinged fandom meets unreal rewards. You get all your content in one spot. Just go to either of those places, or you can download it at link.ag.fan/ISB Media. Back with Dylan Sinn right after this.
We'll be right back for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
In the market for a new or used vehicle? Well, nobody beats the prices and selection of Andy Moore Honda in Bloomington. Right now, get a brand new Honda with no payments for 90 days. That's right, 2023 and 2024 Honda Pilots, HRVs, CRVs, Honda Ridgelines, payment-free for 90 days. Or get 0.9% APR financing for 36 months on a 2023 Honda Ridgeline. Go to AndyMooreHonda.com and get more to your door. If you're looking for a home in the Indianapolis area, you need Cheryl Sizemore from RE/MAX Advanced Realty. Cheryl Sizemore has over 2 decades of experience, and that could be the difference in you getting the home you want in today's tough housing market. Reach out to Cheryl Sizemore from RE/MAX Advanced Realty at Cheryl@IndyHomePros.com or 317-298-0961. Cheryl Sizemore from RE/MAX Advanced Realty. Let Cheryl Sizemore get you in the home you want today. Cheryl@IndyHomePros.com.
Looking for someone to cater your next corporate event, family reunion, or tailgate? To some, a garnish may be nothing more than just a decoration put last on a plate. But in Bloomington, catering starts with Garnish Catering. Serving all of Bloomington and surrounding areas, Garnish Catering is waiting to help make your next event one to remember. Planning a great event shouldn't have to be stressful. Whether we quote you just for catering or a total event package, you can trust that you're making the right choice with Garnish Catering. Visit garnishcatering.com. That's garnishcatering.com. Garnish Catering is a proud partner of WOW Food Group.
Whether it's a night out with the family, after work with colleagues, or catching the game with friends, Bubba's 33 is the place for you. Bubba's 33 offers a mouthwatering menu of selections that are all made from scratch every day. The portions are big, but the prices are small. And with over 50 big screen TVs, you'll never miss the big game. Bubba's 33 is located just west of I-69 off the Lloyd Expressway. Bubba's 33, pizza, burgers, beer.
Country living is just a swing away. It can be hard to find the exact home that fits your family's needs, so there couldn't be a better time to build a new home with Property Shore Construction. Now building exclusively south of Bloomington within the Stonecrest Golf Community. Choose from one of the gorgeous Stonecrest Signature Series house plans. We have several lots available with scenic views of the golf course. Contact Amy Rhoda with Revesco Real Estate for additional information. 812-583-0919 or go to mystonecrestliving.com. That's mystonecrestliving.com for more details.
Formerly BB's Chop Shop Market and Table is located on South Walnut in Bloomington and is your one-stop shop for high-quality meats, bakery items, and now fresh seafood. Chop Shop Market and Table has the largest selection of in-house made products around and everything you need to make a gourmet meal at home. Or pick out a tomahawk steak or a grouper filet and enjoy it cooked to perfection in Chop Shop Steakhouse. Chop Shop Market and Table, a part of the WOW Food Group, is your butcher, baker, and fish house, no matter where you live.
This segment is brought to you by the Chop Shop, home of the Indiana football and men's basketball coaches shows.
Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio coming to you on this Wednesday. Joined now by Dylan Sinn. Dylan, how are you, sir?
I'm good, Jim. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely, a pleasure as always. Earlier, before you joined us, I know you got the 10 caps up there a lot, and I, of course, obviously talking about the wipeout of five Major League Baseball suspending 5 guys, 4 for a season, and 1 got the big L, baby. He's gone, which is nuts. First guy in 100 years to be kicked out of baseball for gambling. Former IU pitcher Andrew Saalfrank. What are these guys? And at first, it screams, why would you do this, knowing that you're going to get caught? But something that kind of stands out is that at least with Andrew Saalfrank, this goes back 3 years to 2021.
Yeah.
So they didn't have the hard lessons learned like last year when the Alabama coach and the guy from Indiana placing bets down in Cincinnati got caught, or some other guys have gotten caught. So I wonder if they could not have done it a little bit better, saying it seems like they learned a lesson, boom, or said, too bad, you still got caught. We went back and caught you. But still, at the end of the day, it's like Saul Frank was betting less than $16 a bet.
Yeah.
So it's like he's bored. I mean, that screams boredom to me. Of someone who's making nearly $1 million a year at the time, but he's also forfeiting a salary of over $700,000 now this season because of that. But boy, you want to talk about a hard lesson learned. That is, are there other guys that are sitting there sweating the bed because these guys got caught, but they only got caught because somebody else turned them in?
Yeah, I mean, and that's what's going to happen with these things is that I mean the gambling sites are monitoring this very, very closely, right? And you talked about it being 3 years ago, and that's absolutely true. It's just one of those things where it can't happen at all, and so yeah, it's tough for these guys that especially Saul Frank, who got suspended for a year for bets placed in 2021 and I think a couple in 2022. And it's Major League Baseball really trying to set an example that, hey, this can't happen at all. I know that the one who got banned for life, which is the first time that an active baseball player had been banned for life since 1924, because Pete Rose was retired by the time that he got suspended. So it's been 100 years. He is actually a former tin cap himself. He played here in 2019.
Really?
Yeah.
And wait a minute, who are we talking about?
It's Tucupita Marcano is his name.
Oh! I thought you were talking about Pete Rose. I'm like, Pete Rose was a former tin cap?
Yeah, no, the guy who got suspended yesterday. He played here in 2019, it was one of those things where he's been doing it for several years. He had been on the injured list, and you're right about the boredom thing. It just seems like he's bored. And so yeah, it's one of these things where Major League Baseball is very obviously trying to send a message. They had made clear the penalties for this, which is if you bet on basically the idea is if you bet on games that don't affect your team, that you don't have, quote, a duty to perform in, that's a year. And if you bet on games in which you do have a duty to perform, you get a lifetime ban. And they're trying to stick with that. Like that's the idea, that they're going to stick with that. So yeah, it's unfortunate for Andrew Saul Frank. It's unfortunate for Tucupita Marcano. It's unfortunate for all these guys. And it is a hard lesson learned. And hopefully they'll come back next year and this kind of thing won't happen again. But now basically we've had one of these types of scandals now, or one of these types of situations essentially in at least 3 of the 4 major sports now, because you had it in basketball with the Jonte Porter situation, you had it in football with
also with the official referee.
That was a long time ago. That was criminal activity, right? But yeah, and so you had it in football with, I believe it was Calvin Ridley, and so and a couple other guys as well. It's not just been limited to him. So it's tough. You don't want to see this happening, and it's just it's an unfortunate situation here as we try to kind of make sure that this kind of thing doesn't happen in sports going forward.
Yeah, I guess the new saying, you got rosed.
Yeah, and that's the thing. One. Yeah, it's Pete Rose was, I guess, in this one sense ahead of his time.
Yeah, I wonder if Pete Rose will ever be allowed into the Hall of Fame. Baseball has not, of course, he's still alive, but they have not shown any suggestion that they're going to budge off of this. But that could change once he is no longer with us, which For him, I'm sure that sucks, but he made his bed.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's the thing. And I've seen people make the case that, like, oh, well, because gambling's legal now, we should let him in. And that doesn't make any sense to me at all. Like, it was illegal when he did it, first of all. Or, no, I guess not illegal. I mean, it was illegal. But it was so against the rules at the time. Like, just because it's with what he did, it's still against the rules. I don't understand it so far, because we just saw someone suspended for it. I don't understand the argument that just because gambling is legal in so many more places now that he should get some kind of leniency. That doesn't make sense to me. He broke the rules pretty significantly as they existed at the time. He broke the rules pretty significantly as they exist now. If you want to make the case, he should be in the Hall of Fame anyway, with his plaque saying that he was banned from baseball for life. I guess I understand that. He is the all-time hits leader, but the idea that he should get some kind of pardon now because the rules on gambling have changed, I don't understand that, quite frankly.
Yeah, lots coming up in a little closer to home, and a sport much more loved here. Basketball, baby. The All-Star week has already begun. The juniors and played Kentucky on Sunday, sweeping on both sides of that. The boys and the girls winning both of those games tonight. Trent Sisley was on with us yesterday, and tonight's game carries more weight as far as the juniors go per Trent, because for obvious, it's like beating your big brother. So it means more, I guess. But they have a hell of a chance of winning that game.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and that's what we're seeing is it's one of the more talented junior classes or one of the more talented classes in a while in the state. The last couple, there have been some good players. Obviously, there always are. It's Indiana, but the 2025 class is on a kind of different level here, and it reminds me of 2021 in that there's a lot of talented guys. It's a deep class as well, and so I'm really fascinated to see how they do, because these guys have also played together for a while. Like a lot of these guys that play AAU together and all of that. And so there's probably going to be some chemistry with that 2025 class. And I'm fascinated by it. I think it's going to be really interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. Looking forward to seeing how some of these guys play against each other, because the seniors are not exactly barren of talent. Jack Benter, Flory Badunga.
Of course.
But yesterday I was talking about the great squad that Indiana Elite has put together that includes Desmond Briscoe, who is a load. And I'm assuming that's a matchup, Flory Badunga and Desmond Briscoe, a matchup there, which we're talking more height and a little more brawn, but Briscoe's he's added some tools to his game this summer. I've seen him shooting from the outside a little bit. He's not knocking down 5 shots a game or something like that, but he may put up 1 to 2 shots per game. But just he's added that tool to his arsenal. But he's a big boy. He's a load underneath, and so that's going to be fun to watch. Braylon Mullins, how his game is taken off. Mark Zachary, their point guard that they should have, fantastic.
He's a Notre Dame football commit, by the way.
Mark
Zachary is, yeah.
What are the chances that he does not end up playing for Micah Shrewsbury and the Notre Dame basketball team?
I was thinking that too. There's a chance that he ends up there too. Notre Dame has a couple guys coming in.
There's not just a chance. I think he's a legit basketball player, man. He's a game wrecker when he comes in on defense, and he can spit fire in offense pretty fast.
Yeah, there's a couple of guys at Notre Dame the next couple of years here that might have a chance to play both. Bronte Johnson from up here in Fort Wayne, who was a fantastic basketball recruit in addition to being a football recruit. He's at Notre Dame playing defensive back starting this fall. I wouldn't be surprised if he has some conversations with Coach Shrewsbury as well about playing basketball, because he was terrific at Northside when he did that. So could be a couple guys going both ways the next couple of years here, which would be really exciting for Notre Dame.
Yeah, and maybe that's something that Micah needs to get things going in South Bend. I don't know that that's going to be a constant thing. Of course,
Sure.
It shouldn't be a constant thing. You should get to the point to where you have your own players. But Mark Zachary is one of those special guys. I'm like, hey, if you can do it, you can do it. There's a ton of guys that play either sport that could play both sports. Their athletic ability is unquestionably there, and they've had to decide because now it's about being a specialist. I miss the days when I grew up. Man, it was seasonal. You just went from one to the other to the other. And if you talk to any of the big time pros, they say play as many sports as possible.
Oh, yeah.
And that's because it gives you so many different tools. One sport does this more for you. Maybe it gives you more agility. This sport gives you more hand-eye coordination. This sport requires more foot speed. But you put them all together, and it creates a much more a much better situation for you in whatever sport ultimately you dive into.
And it's interesting because what we heard for years was, coaches want players who specialize. They want players who specialize. And now what we're seeing is kind of the opposite. Coaches have really, especially college coaches, have really put a premium on guys who played multiple sports in high school. So if you're a football coach, you want guys who play basketball or baseball. If you're a basketball coach, you want guys who play football. That kind of thing. It just gives you a different experience, and it means that I think coaches kind of use it as a proxy for, like, you're a competitive guy. You want to compete even outside of your sport, which tells us a little bit about who you are as a person. And so, yeah, I think you're seeing a kind of a shift back toward, a shift away from specialization, right? Especially early. And so, because coaches are really looking for that kind of thing, they want to say, hey, when you're not playing the sport that I'm recruiting you for, what are you doing? Are you just kind of relaxing? Are you doing anything else? Are you doing something else competitive? And they like guys, everything I've heard, they like guys who play multiple sports in high school. So I think we're kind of seeing a shift back that direction, which, as you said, is a good thing. I think too much of one sport is probably not the best thing for a kid, especially at the high school level. So yeah, go wild, go play 3 sports, have fun with it outside of your season. And I think that's what we're seeing right now.
Absolutely. Various things to talk about. Been speaking about all of these great Indiana high school players. Here's a comment from, I'm responding to it, but I lost it. But anyway, Russell, I think, asking, I wonder what the Hurley pitch for Braylon Mullins will be. Well, that's pretty easy. I'm like, well, it'll probably start with the fact that, we've won back-to-back national championships, first program in over 2 decades to do that, and we did it by losing 75% of our offense from one team to the next. Pretty good opening statement there, I'd say.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, that's the thing, is Dan Hurley has entered that kind of space where it's like, I'm Dan Hurley. I walk into a room and recruits are going to be interested in me, right? Like he's entered that kind of space. And I mean, look, I've made this point before. Maybe not on here, but and it might be sacrilege to say it. Dan Hurley is basically going to be Coach K for the next 20 years.
I was getting ready to say he's
Bob
Coach Knight.
K. Yeah,
he's Bob Knight of the early 70s.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. Yep. Yeah,
because Bob Knight barely missed out on being in this very, very position, except for one difference, doing it undefeated. Had it not been for the horrible injury to Scott May, they win back-to-back national titles undefeated. Yes. And Knight was earlier in his coaching tenure. Hell, he was that was what, 4 years into IU. Yeah. So he was 9 years. He was 9 years into the game, but I don't know how long Hurley's been coaching now. But he's in that era, that bubble of where do you go from? I mean, what do you do after you win back-to-back national titles?
Right.
Well, you try to do it again.
Well, if you're Billy Donovan, you start thinking about where you can get to the NBA. But Dan Hurley does not seem like he is going to leave for the NBA anytime soon. That does not seem like something that interests him. This is a guy who said that his dream job is coaching somewhere out of the way like Montana.
He's already Dylan, he's already in the NBA.
Yeah.
NCAA is no difference than the NBA, except it has less rules. There are less rules within the NCAA than others. Hey, we've got to take a break. We've got Dylan Sinn from the Fort Worth Gazette with us, and we'll be back with more right after this.
We'll be right back for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
If you're looking for a home in the Indianapolis area, you need Cheryl Sizemore from RE/MAX Advanced Realty. Cheryl Sizemore has over 2 decades of experience, and that could be the difference in you getting the home you want in today's tough housing market. Reach out to Cheryl Sizemore from RE/MAX Advanced Realty at cheryl@indyhomepros.com or 317-298-0961. Cheryl Sizemore from RE/MAX Advanced Realty. Let Cheryl Sizemore get you in the home you want today. Cheryl@indyhomepros.com. Whether it's a night out with the family, after work with colleagues, or catching the game with friends, Bubba's 33 is the place for you. Bubba's 33 offers a mouthwatering menu of selections that are all made from scratch every day. The portions are big, but the prices are small. And with over 50 big screen TVs, you'll never miss the big game. Bubba's 33 is located just west of I-69 off the Lloyd Expressway. Bubba's 33, pizza, burgers, beer.
Country living is just a swing away. It can be hard to find the exact home that fits your family's needs, so there couldn't be a better time to build a new home with Property Shore Construction. Now building exclusively south of Bloomington within the Stonecrest Golf Community. Choose from one of the gorgeous Stonecrest Signature Series house plans. We have several lots available with scenic views of the golf course. Contact Amy Rhoda with Revesco Real Estate for additional information. 812-583-0919 or go to mystonecrestliving.com. That's mystonecrestliving.com for more details.
Formerly BB's Chop Shop Market and Table is located on South Walnut in Bloomington and is your one-stop shop for high-quality meats, bakery items, and now fresh seafood. Chop Shop Market and Table has the largest selection of in-house made products around and everything you need to make a gourmet meal at home. Or pick out a tomahawk steak or a grouper filet and enjoy it cooked to perfection in Chop Shop Steakhouse. Chop Shop Market and Table, a part of the Wild Food Group, is your butcher, baker, and fish house, no matter where you live.
Looking for someone to cater your next corporate event, family reunion, or tailgate? To some, a garnish may be nothing more than just a decoration put last on a plate. But in Bloomington, catering starts with Garnish Catering. Serving all of Bloomington and surrounding areas, Garnish Catering is waiting to help make your next event one to remember. Planning a great event shouldn't have to be stressful. Whether we quote you just for catering or a total event package, you can trust that you're making the right choice with Garnish Catering. Visit garnishcatering.com. That's garnishcatering.com. Garnish Catering is a proud partner of WOW Food Group.
In the market for a new or used vehicle? Well, nobody beats the prices and selection of Andy Moore Honda in Bloomington. Right now, get a brand new Honda with no payments for 90 days. That's right, 2023 and 2024 Honda Pilots, HRVs, CRVs, Honda Ridgelines, payment free for 90 days. Or get 0.9% APR financing for 36 months on a 2023 Honda Ridgeline. Go to AndyMooreHonda.com and get more to your door.
This segment is brought to you by Freethink Apparel.
Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio, on this Wednesday of another. Are we into summer yet? Has summer officially started?
Not yet. It's June 21st, I believe, is the first day of summer.
Oh, good deal. That means we've got not quite 3 weeks, a couple more weeks. I just kept saying, I'm like, yeah, I know that I'm one of the hard asses. I have yet to turn my air conditioning on. It's part. I grew up with a dad who, like I said, boy, you walk out of a room and leave a light on. We didn't have a gigantic house, but it didn't matter. It's like he could be in the back of the house. You're on the other end, and you walked out of a room and left a light on. And boy, did you leave that light on? Better get in there and turn that off. I mean, but that constant it's stayed with me my entire life, which I'm kind of grateful because I don't leave lights on unnecessarily around the studio or the house, whatever. And I will bet you my HVAC system has run maybe once in the last 3 months, and that went from going from the end of coming out of winter into spring. I had it set at 62 with the heat, and I'm like, I can't. It's not like I'm in here cold. I wear a sweatshirt around a lot of times during the winter, and the only thing it's hard. It's easier to get a little warmer than it is to get a little cooler because of the humidity. Good gosh, man. Man, yeah, that's the one thing that'll make me turn it on faster than the heat all day and twice on Sunday. Dylan Sinn with us here on Indiana Sports Beat Radio on this Wednesday. Tonight, the Indiana juniors taking on the seniors at up in Kokomo. Another fine basketball stop in the state of Indiana. So another fun game for those guys. And they've done a good job of building that up from just being the old seniors against the seniors in Kentucky. I don't know what Kentucky has going as far as matching what Indiana does. I have not heard a bunch of this going on. If it's not, they really need to consider it because they don't have the support at this level that Indiana does. That's why Indiana's is still, when they play the seniors game, it's played in Gamebridge Fieldhouse, an NBA facility. And the Kentucky site has bounced from Louisville to Owensboro to Bowling Green to Lexington, all over the place. And they still can't really find a home where it gathers support. And part of that is because Indiana produces more talent. And this is not a judgmental thing. It's just a fact. Indiana produces more talent, A. B, they produce more talent that is desirable by schools out, not just by Indiana, by Purdue, by Notre Dame. You've got Michigan State and Michigan and Iowa and Kentucky and Louisville, UConn offering these guys. So that's also, but Indiana cultivates it. And I don't know that Kentucky has these. I'm not saying they don't. I don't know. But kudos to those Mike Broughton. I guess you'd start with him now. Well, he didn't invent it, but has the keys to the car, so to speak, for the All-Stars.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. And it's a terrific event every year. I think that the juniors versus seniors game, I've always thought does a really good job of just kind of building a little bit of rivalry, a little bit of competitiveness between those guys before a lot of them go off to college. Probably a lot of them are going to be playing. Obviously, you're always going to have some D1 recruits, but a lot of these guys are going to go play NAIA or D3 somewhere, and they're probably going to do it in Indiana where they're going to end up playing against each other in college. And I think that just kind of creates a little bit more juice, a little bit more buzz when they play each other later. And so you kind of get these guys to be competitive early on. It's a lot of fun. And so I think it's a really good idea. It's a really good idea that this game has continued throughout the years. And yeah, like you said, the junior senior game should be a lot of fun. And I'm really interested to see these juniors just kind of put it on the court against a class that is, as we talked about earlier, on paper not as strong, but does have maybe the best overall player on the floor in Flory Badunga. So it's going to be interesting to see how they handle that and just how Flory Badunga is able to play in technically his last game as a high school basketball player in Indiana, right?
Yeah, and while he did play his high school ball in Indiana, he's not your typical Indiana high schooler. He did not grow up in Indiana. He's from the Congo, and that has nothing to do with nothing other than he was able to have probably the greatest experience he could have possibly have had coming to America, having not played prior. Man, he landed in the Mecca of basketball. So That's going to be great for him when he heads off to play under Bill Self and a great Kansas program that has 16,000 plus at in their gym every night. And so, but I noticed someone asked what's the spread? Well, of course there is no spread, but I quickly put it at seniors -6, and I'm taking the juniors and the points, baby. I'll take the 6 points. What do you think about the spread, first of all, Dylan?
I like it. I think that's probably as close as you're going to get for one of these games where everyone on one team is a year older. The six seems about fair to me.
Yeah, I wonder if you mentioned that the seniors have the best player on the floor, probably in Flory Badunga, but the juniors seem to have just more weapons overall. But in these games, what happens is there's always somebody that pops up that, well, where the hell did he come from? He was the leading scorer. I was reading about Larry Bird's experiences in the All-Star game many years back, and I think about, and this reminds me of something. Sharon Wilkerson. I still to this day, and back then I couldn't have cared less. I went to Floyd Central, he went to Jeffersonville, so I couldn't have given two squats about somebody from Jeff. Getting to know him now, he's an incredible person who does tirelessly works with kids, coaching at Jeffersonville. His life that he has become someone that we all wish we could be. He's the only person to have the Mr. Basketball title taken from him walk away from it. In essence, he quit the damn team, which I know that is a regret he'll have for the rest of his life. And then I think Kojak Fuller got it. And boy, what a bad year that was, because he ended up losing it, I think, as well, didn't he?
I'm not sure about that.
You have to research that, but I think so. But if that was the case, and I'm wondering, was there one actually given or awarded for that year? I want to see that restored. I would love to see that restored because of what Sharon has done. He's done more since then than anybody else, as far as how he has flipped a life and what direction it was headed. He is now coaching kids, doing a great job. He was this close to winning a state title last year at Jeffersonville. His players love him, but getting off the next time I see Mike Broughton, I'll bring that up to him, because I think that was his coach at Jeffersonville.
Well, there you go. Now you're out in the field. You're going to be out in the field doing research, Jim.
Well, you act like I'm not always, man. I'm like, I got that magnifying glass and the double bill hat all the time, bro. But yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing that game, man. I would seriously, if I were betting, I would take the juniors and the 6 points. They want to win this game, and just having talked to Trent, they want to win that game more than they want to win the Kentucky game.
Yeah. And it's tough for the juniors that they don't get to have Jalen Harrelson on their team, because that would make things really interesting, wouldn't it?
Absolutely.
And he of course he is not. See,
that's another thing. They're not even fully loaded now. I'm sure there are some guys. I know that there are some guys on the seniors also who. There's one of the Purdue recruits that's an Indiana kid that's playing. Not your typical high school.
Cannon Catchings, of course.
Yes, Cannon Catchings. So they're not going to have him, but I don't think that's apples to apples there. Jalen Harrelson is one of the top recruits in the 2025 class. Braylon Mullins, for example, is currently in the 80s. Now he'll probably jump to the 40s
with the incredible summer he's had, the offers that he's added, Kansas and UConn. You can't add that kind of attention and not get a bounce like that. I wonder how much harder this is making Indiana's recruiting of Braylon Mullins now because of the summer that he's having. It used to be, oh, it's great, you're happy for him. But now, man, it's, whoo, hey, let me get in on that. Let me get in on that. And it used to really matter that you were in on him first, that you had been with him for a year. I know they say that a lot now, but I don't know how much it really matters anymore.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's kind of like, I'm not sure who remembers this, but it always makes me laugh. So the Oakland Athletics drafted Kyler Murray in the first round of the baseball draft I believe it was 2017. And so they let him play quarterback at Oklahoma for his senior year. And for the first couple of games of that season, they were tweeting all of his highlights and how many touchdowns he was scoring. And oh, go Kyler, we're so excited for him. And then when it became apparent he was going to be the first overall pick in football and not sign with them, they stopped tweeting his highlights. That's always made me laugh. It's kind of like that, where it's like IU is very excited that Braylon Mullins is playing well. Wait, don't play that well, Braylon.
Too late. Too late. What's not only that, but it's the fact of where he's doing it.
Yes.
Of course, part of what he's done that was right here in Indianapolis, so
yeah.
that has not mattered. But they've gone out to other places like Texas. They were in Alabama. They're in the Indiana Elite is undefeated on the 3SSB circuit, and that in and of itself says a lot. Because, like I just said, they're playing in events in Alabama, in Texas, in Indianapolis, which draws from everywhere multiple times. So they're taking on all comers, and they're undefeated right now. They've had a couple of close games, but they've had some games where they just kick the ever-loving crap out of teams, which is mind-boggling. They have an incredible shot at running the table through the 3SSB title in Rock Hill, South Carolina.
Yeah, I mean and they're loaded. We know that. It's kind of like, it's almost like they're an Indiana All-Star team plus, right? That's what they are, and that's why everyone's so excited about this class, is you can see it on display these weekends during the summer against the best competition in the country. We know how good these guys are, and that's why Indiana especially, and Purdue also, is down there looking at all of these guys and saying, hey, we would like to bring in these guys as some kind of package deal. You've talked about it before, how much of a home run that would be. And so that is the goal for the summer, is to get these guys and get as many of them as you can on campus. And they've already gotten, obviously, some of these guys on campus for IU, and get them committed and say, hey, we want you to be a building block for our future. And IU and Purdue are both trying to do that. Notre Dame is involved with some of these guys. So it's a fascinating class, because not only does it have high-level talent, it has high-level talent that is seriously considering staying in state. And that is going to be really, really fascinating to see that play out over the next 6 months here.
Yeah, and if Indiana can have a successful season with the talent that they have brought in, we've seen Purdue have a great run. I think that that run is at the very least going to take a dip this year. I know that all the Purdue fans think I'm just being an IU homer, which is BS. I just think they're going to take a damn dip. They just lost Zach Edey, for God's sake, the 2-time player of the year. And as much as we have some guys on the cover Purdue, one of them made the comment that Trey Kaufman-Wren was going to be the best post player in the league next year. And I'm thinking, man, I appreciate you, but what the hell are you talking about? I don't know who that player is going to be, but I'll start with guys like Aaron Bradshaw that transferred from Kentucky to Ohio State, Vladdy Golden that transferred from Florida Atlantic to Michigan, Umar Ballo at Indiana from Arizona, Malik Renew at Indiana, and there's others. And Trey Kaufman-Wren is the 6'8" more power forward. So I it's going to put more strain on their guards than what has been over the last 2 years.
Yeah, absolutely. And I do think the Trey Kaufman-Renn is a good player, to be clear. I think the plan is for him to start at center.
I agree. I'm not saying he's not,
yeah.
but he's not. There's no way he's going to be the best post player in the Big Ten.
Right, and they'll be more guard dominant this year. They're gonna need one of Miles Colvin or Camden Heide to really take a leap and become kind of a leading perimeter scorer type player. I think they can. There's questions about this Purdue team. Their ceiling is still pretty high, and I'm really fascinated to see how it goes for them because they just have so many guys who over the last couple of years I've been like, that guy has some talent. That guy has some talent. So they're going to be more athletic this year, which I think is fun. And so I'm fascinated to see it.
Dylan, what is up next for you, brother?
Well, we have baseball semi-state this week. We got 3 Fort Wayne area teams in the semi-state, including Bishop Dwenger, led by Brayton Thomas, an IU commit who might be an early round draft pick as well. So they are in the semi-state. They're playing in Kokomo as well. So I'll be in Kokomo on Saturday after the events of tonight.
Yeah, we've got Evansville Memorial. They're also semi-state bound, and some other will be following that action, as well as the NCAA tournament, which picks back up this weekend.
Evansville in the Super Regional.
Evansville, man. Evansville in the Super Regional with a second straight Indiana team taking on those vaunted Tennessee Volunteers. We'll see how that goes. Dylan Sinn from the Fort Wayne Journal-Gazette. I can't thank you enough, brother.
Glad to do it, Jim. Thanks for having me out, as always.
You bet. Another fun day. Appreciate you, sir. Brought to you by Free Think Apparel. Whether you need 24 T-shirts for the upcoming family reunion or 200 for this summer's recreational baseball, softball leagues, whatever, Free Think Apparel meets your printing needs. Their team of industry experts work with you to design a professional-looking, sales-generating web store for your custom-designed apparel or promotional merchandise. From large corporations to small businesses, high school sports teams to national accounts, Free Think Apparel delivers no matter where you are. Visit freethinkapparel.com today and get printing. We're back with more Indiana Sports Beat Radio. Cal Neddenriep and Rick Bozich in the next hour.
We'll be right back for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
In the market for a new or used vehicle? Well, nobody beats the prices and selection of Andy Moore Honda in Bloomington. Right now, get a brand new Honda with no payments for 90 days. That's right, 2023 and 2024 Honda Pilots, HRVs, CRVs, Honda Ridgelines, payment-free for 90 days. Or get 0.9% APR financing for 36 months on a 2023 Honda Ridgeline. Go to AndyMooreHonda.com and get more to your door.
Looking for someone to cater your next corporate event, family reunion, or tailgate? To some, a garnish may be nothing more than just a decoration put last on a plate. But in Bloomington, catering starts with Garnish Catering. Serving all of Bloomington and surrounding areas, Garnish Catering is waiting to help make your next event one to remember. Planning a great event shouldn't have to be stressful. Whether we quote you just for catering or a total event package, you can trust that you're making the right choice with Garnish Catering. Visit garnishcatering.com. That's garnishcatering.com. Garnish Catering is a proud partner of WOW Food Group.
If you're looking for a home in the Indianapolis area, you need Cheryl Sizemore from RE/MAX Advanced Realty. Cheryl Sizemore has over 2 decades of experience, and that could be the difference in you getting the home you want in today's tough housing market. Reach out to Cheryl Sizemore from RE/MAX Advanced Realty at cheryl@indyhomepros.com or 317-298-0961. Cheryl Sizemore from RE/MAX Advanced Realty. Let Cheryl Sizemore get you in the home you want today. Cheryl@indyhomepros.com. Whether it's a night out with the family, after work with colleagues, or catching the game with friends, Bubba's 33 is the place for you. Bubba's 33 offers a mouthwatering menu of selections that are all made from scratch every day. The portions are big, but the prices are small. And with over 50 big screen TVs, you'll never miss the big game. Bubba's 33 is located just west of I-69 off the Lloyd Expressway. Bubba's 33, pizza, burgers, beer. Formerly BB's Chop Shop Market and Table is located on South Walnut in Bloomington and is your one-stop shop for high-quality meats, bakery items, and now fresh seafood. Chop Shop Market and Table has the largest selection of in-house made products around and everything you need to make a gourmet meal at home. Or pick out a tomahawk steak or a grouper filet and enjoy it cooked to perfection in Chop Shop Steakhouse. Shop Shock Market and Table, a part of the Wild Food Group, is your butcher, baker, and fish house, no matter where you live.
Country living is just a swing away. It can be hard to find the exact home that fits your family's needs, so there couldn't be a better time to build a new home with Property Shore Construction. Now building exclusively south of Bloomington within the Stonecrest Golf community. Choose from one of the gorgeous Stonecrest Signature Series house plans. We have several lots available with scenic views of the golf course. Contact Amy Rhoda with Revesco Real Estate for additional information. 812-583-0919 or go to mystonecrestliving.com. That's mystonecrestliving.com for more details. This segment is brought to you by Hoosier Hanks East.
Welcome back, Indiana Sports Speed Radio here on this Wednesday. Thank you so much for being with us, no matter where and how you're listening to us across the beautiful Hoosier State. Kyle Neddenriep from the Indy Star stepping in. How are you, my friend?
Hey, good, Jim. How are you?
Just rolling along, waiting for tonight. Another big game coming up and looking forward to it. Just so you know, I've already, someone asked earlier, so I set the line at 6 on this game tonight. Not that I'm encouraging gambling, especially in light of the baseball players, but just for argument's sake, I set it at 6, and I said, you know what? And I'm taking the juniors and the 6 points, baby.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's seems like a reasonable suggestion, but I always wonder too, like how much, continuity there is, or, they're not really, they did play, some of them at least played in the game on Sunday at Scottsburg, but, it's just, you don't have a whole lot of, you're not running stuff, and that's not what people want to see anyway. But yeah, I'd say the junior class definitely top to bottom, more talented, I would say, than the senior class, but the senior class has been practicing together and doing some stuff at least. So you have major rotations where, you have new guys coming in, and it's a different game that way. So although the second half, I think you'll see the teams, they're going to be trying to win, and the minutes won't be exactly even, especially for the seniors who are trying to get ready to play this weekend. So, there's just some mitigating factors that go into it, but yeah, I'd say the juniors probably, fairly would be favored in this.
And something I thought of is, while not all playing together, they've pretty much all been playing this entire time in one form or another on either the 3SSB circuit, the EYBL circuit, whatever, but playing some AAU ball. So they've been continuing to roll this whole time.
Yeah, and that's always something especially something I didn't really think about until I think it was last year with the girls, and the girls were playing down at Kentucky. And, the girls for the seniors, you've been off, their season gets over basically, February. So they're, and some even, if you don't get out of the sectional in girls basketball, your season's over, pretty much at the start of February. So you're talking about 4 months of, not that they're not playing, those girls are still playing, doing stuff, whatever, but you're not playing consistent AAU. So I do wonder sometimes, and the girls have struggled in the All-Stars at, especially when they go down there to play Kentucky. And I do wonder sometimes if that's a factor in that, because they've just been off for so long, of actually playing competitive games. So, but yeah, that's a good point. I mean, even the boys on the AAU, they're not playing AAU, obviously. They're doing stuff, but, not playing like basically all these kids have grown up playing AAU for the most part, other than probably Flory. So, you're in a different sort of, you're in just a little bit different situation as seniors, where you're finishing your senior year and then getting ready for college. So, but yeah, there is something to that, I think.
And something else that I was thinking about that just slipped my mind, daggone it. It was something that I really wanted to ask. And so I've forgotten what that is. So What did you get from last Sunday's game between the Indiana and the Kentucky juniors? How much difference in talent did you see?
I didn't get anything because I was at my niece's graduation party, so I didn't go. So Zion Brown
Great
covered.
Answer. Great answer.
But I know they sound like they had no trouble. It was 130-103, I believe, was the final, and looked like Julius Gizzi from New Pal, offensively had a great game for him. So, but yeah, other than that, I didn't get any eyes on that game, and was kind of just enjoying spending some time with my niece. But I did go to the Futures game on Monday at HSC, and obviously that's not the junior class, but it was fun to see some of those. It was largely the sophomore class, but then you had some freshmen sprinkled in with Jason Gardner Jr. and Cooper Zachary from Fishers, and some other guys I don't like the Jalen Mitchell kid from Evansville Rights, who is also a freshman. I don't get a chance to see him play a lot. Saw him one time during the season, and was really impressed with him, especially in the second half. So, it was a that was a fun event. I hope they continue with that Futures game. I don't know where to put that. Monday's probably a good night for it, I'd say. Last year they tried to do it on Saturday of the All-Stars, and that kind of makes for a long day, although playing at Gamebridge I know was pretty cool for them. But I think it's a good event. I'd like to, hopefully see it continue. And I think it's a good barometer, the All-Star, the people who kind of help with the All-Stars get a chance to see these guys play, as freshmen and sophomores. And, it gives you a little bit of a litmus test moving forward. Like, is that kid actually an all-star? Not that you base it solely on that, but you kind of get to see him play in that sort of environment against other top players, which I think is good.
How long has the junior senior thing been going on?
I think it was late 90s when it started.
A lot longer than I thought.
Yeah, it's been going on for a while. I want to say I'm not exactly sure. I want to say 96 or somewhere in that area. So yeah, it's been around for a while.
How many times, and I know right offhand you may not have that answer, but if anybody knows, you do. How often have the juniors beaten the seniors, or has it happened?
I can look that up for you. Yeah, it's definitely happened. It's not. I would say not that irregular, and I can could probably look that up for you and find that. But yeah, it's not. And it used to be where they played more, I think, against the seniors. They had a couple games, against each other. So I can probably find that for you here if you get a little time.
Absolutely. I was just curious. I was like, man, because not every class is built the same. We know that not that there's a ton wrong with the 24 class in Indiana. It's just not as fervent as it usually is. And the 25 class on its heels is pretty loaded. And that is not even including a couple of guys that would be playing in it, like Jalen Harrelson. Of course, the seniors are without Kanan Catchings, which I hate that. That stinks to me. I don't think that it should matter. And different people have different opinions on this, but I don't think it should matter if you play for a prep school like La Lumiere or not, as long as you're residing in the state of Indiana and your age meets the requirements and all that. I don't think you should not be eligible for the All-Stars or Mr. Basketball. It's a different era.
Yeah, there's different viewpoints on that, I know, and with the IBCA kind of being in control of it, I would say that's hard to
change.
I don't think they're going to want to have that happen, but yeah, there was one year where there wasn't necessarily a rule put in place on like to have them in or out or whatever. So that there was a year where Hunter Perea played for the junior All-Stars in one of the games, I remember, and that didn't continue on the next year. They did end up making a rule saying, hey, you can't, not be a I'd say member and play in the game. So, that did end up changing, but yeah, so I've got Pat McKee had sent out a list, and I know it's in the record book, the book that they have. And of course I don't have it right here with me, but he's got if you look in the program that they put out, the series goes back to 1996 with the juniors. So, they did So there is. I know it's at somewhere. He's got every record here in a list he sent me of everything from free throw percentage to everything, but I don't see a full series record. So anyway, you can find that somewhere.
I was just curious.
I don't know what the series is exactly, but the juniors have beat the seniors before.
Yeah, I was just curious. What are you expecting? And I know I had Trent Sisley on yesterday, and according to him, this game means more to them than the game did against Kentucky played on Sunday down in Scottsburg.
Oh yeah, I'm sure. That's part of the fun of this is you get to see the classes sort of show some pride, and I look forward to that. I remember the last time the game was played in Kokomo was Cody Zeller would have been, I believe, a senior that year, and they were playing. It was a 2011, 2011 team, and Yogi Ferrell and Gary Harris and those guys were the 2012 team, and it went to, and Devontae Smith Rivera was still he was a junior all-star that year. It was a really good class, that junior class, and that game was just a knockdown drag out. They went to double overtime. They ended up there's no air conditioning, so they ended up it was super hot out that night. So they said, hey, we're making it a sudden death double overtime, and it ended up being I believe Zeller's team, the seniors, ended up winning. I can't remember now. It may have been the juniors win. I can't remember though, but it went down to the wire, and it was just a great battle between two really good classes. Those 11 and 12 classes that were memorably very good. 12 was just super deep, and 11 was really good too with Zeller and those guys. So, but yeah, I think you see that occasionally. There's a lot of, I think, pride on the line. The seniors are definitely under more of a, I don't want to say pressure. I mean, it's all-star game, but they're trying to prepare for the week. They're being coached more. The juniors can kind of go out and just play and try to be an annoyance to the seniors. So that'll be something to watch for sure tonight. I think that'll be one of the fun parts of this, to see how competitive everybody gets and who kind of rises to the occasion. That tells you something about what they're made of too, and something I always look for in this game.
Without question. Also, we don't want to ignore that tournament baseball is deep into semi-state play now. Teams from all over the state. Fort Wayne teams are still rolling. Teams from Evansville still rolling. The Northwest Indianapolis area as well. You don't cover baseball, though. Do you keep up with it much?
Yeah, I mean, our guy Akeem, he covers most of our baseball stuff. I do have a story, should be out tomorrow, on I went out to Union City, Indiana, and they've got it's kind of a, not necessarily, I mean, it's some about the team, but just some about a lot of different things within that program, and won't give too much away with that, but Union City over there on the Ohio border, it's a town that's like half the towns in Ohio and half's in Indiana, but obviously writing about the Indiana school there, and the school had never won a regional before, and there's a lot of backstory there. So people can look for that tomorrow, but enjoyed getting over there, and it is a baseball story, but it's more of a human element story to it too.
And you've also got a piece out right now about John Anthony Hall from Fishers, which Fishers has just been the spot. It's funny how this thing kind of moves around as far as being the dominant school in multiple sports at a time. And right now it kind of seems to be Fishers riding off of a state basketball championship. But John Anthony Hall won the state basketball title, being, was he one of the 47 guards they had on that roster?
Yeah, I mean, he really played well. Yeah, he became, I thought his sophomore year, they kind of turned the point guard over to him, but, he ended up going to Jalen Harrelson to be more of the guy, and I thought Hall, he was a good player. I didn't know he would become what he's been as a basketball player. He became a real killer for that team. I think he was maybe the biggest reason they kind of took that jump. And he's just so good defensively. He's such an athlete. And then he started making some outside shots. I mean, and he's second in the state in the long jump. He's obviously, his football is where he's going to be, just got that Notre Dame offer, which what we talked about in the story, and his official visits coming up, which I think he's heading to Stanford here either I think tomorrow for his first one. But yeah, he's you put him up there, he's right with Mark Zachary, as being
I was just going to say, man, those guys are they sound like twins of in essence, that both could end up playing at Notre Dame football and basketball.
Potentially, yeah, I wouldn't doubt that completely. And if they play together, man, how cool would that be? They are so similar. I mean, they're different. Obviously Hall plays receiver. Zachary does play receiver, but he's a defensive back in college. And but man, those two, they're like two peas in a pod with what they do some different thing. I mean, Zachary handles the ball more. Hall's more of a finisher, I would say, but. Yeah, just so and they're both so easy to talk to and easy to like that, that's also similar between the two of them.
I know something I was going to ask you earlier before we get out of here. Indiana Elite, they've run the board so far in 3SSB. They're undefeated as they're heading towards the 3SSB championship tournament down in Rock Hill, South Carolina in July. How often do you recollect undefeated teams from Indiana winning either the EYBL or 3SSB type titles?
I mean, I know Indiana Elite's been, I don't know about undefeated, I know that they've been in that position where they've won, multiple tournaments and, been in that position before. But yeah, as far as undefeated, I don't know. I don't know what the history, I don't know if there is a documented history of anything like that out there, but obviously a great accomplishment for that team. And always when you see these Indiana teams do well in AAU, it's certainly a source of pride because it's really the only barometer you have, even though some players are from out of state. I mean, most of the time the in-state AAU teams are full of in-state players. So, it's a source of pride for sure. Any of those, I'm not tied to any program, but it is fun to see how they compete at that national level. And that's a loaded team, obviously. And you got Moreno in there too, who's not necessarily an in-state player, but definitely helps their cause too. But very cool. I don't know the answer to that, but I think pretty rare, obviously.
Has either of those teams won the title? I mean, I say the title. The at the end of the year, you have the EYBL Peach Jam, and then you have the 3SSB down in Rock Hill. Has an Indiana team won that?
I can't. I don't know that for sure. It's changed too, where it used to be Las Vegas and so even in the last decade or so, the way the season has ended is different. So I don't know for sure. I know teams have won out in Vegas for sure, and Indiana Elite's won that before. But as far as the 3SB, I'm not for sure about that.
Brother, I appreciate you very much. Make sure you're giving Kyle Neddenriep a follow and keeping up with all things that are going on in IHSAA sports. Appreciate you, sir.
You bet. Thanks, Jim.
You bet. Have a great rest of your week. Kyle, brought to you by Boost Fundraising. If you know of anyone in need of a fundraiser, Boost Fundraising provides the easiest and fastest way to raise the most money, most user-friendly online as well. Your team receives personalized fundraising pages for each team member, free team-branded promo gifts shipped to each donor. Boost Fundraising does it all for sports teams, marching bands, charity causes, community groups, whatever you need. Go to boostfundraising.com and be sure to enter the promo code COYLE to receive a discounted fundraiser. We're back with Rick Bozich after this.
We'll be right back for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Formerly BB's Chop Shop Market and Table is located on South Walnut in Bloomington and is your one-stop shop for high-quality meats, bakery items, and now fresh seafood. Chop Shop Market and Table has the largest selection of in-house made products around and everything you need to make a gourmet meal at home. Or pick out a tomahawk steak or a grouper filet and enjoy it cooked to perfection in Chop Shop Steakhouse. Chop Shop Market and Table, a part of the Wild Food Group, is your butcher, baker, and fish house, no matter where you live.
country living is just a swing away. It can be hard to find the exact home that fits your family's needs, so there couldn't be a better time to build a new home with Property Shore Construction. Now building exclusively south of Bloomington within the Stonecrest Golf community. Choose from one of the gorgeous Stonecrest Signature Series house plans. We have several lots available with scenic views of the golf course. Contact Amy Rhoda with Revesco Real Estate for additional information. 812-583-0919 or go to mystonecrestliving.com. That's mystonecrestliving.com for more details.
Whether it's a night out with the family, after work with colleagues, or catching the game with friends, Bubba's 33 is the place for you. Bubba's 33 offers a mouthwatering menu of selections that are all made from scratch every day. The portions are big, but the prices are small. And with over 50 big screen TVs, you'll never miss the big game. Bubba's 33 is located just west of I-69 off the Lloyd Expressway. Bubba's 33, pizza, burgers, beer.
Looking for someone to cater your next corporate event, family reunion, or tailgate? To some, a garnish may be nothing more than just a decoration put last on a plate. But in Bloomington, catering starts with Garnish Catering. Serving all of Bloomington and surrounding areas, Garnish Catering is waiting to help make your next event one to remember. Planning a great event shouldn't have to be stressful. Whether we quote you just for catering or a total event package, you can trust that you're making the right choice with Garnish Catering. Visit garnishcatering.com. That's garnishcatering.com. Garnish Catering is a proud partner of WOW Food Group.
If you're looking for a home in the Indianapolis area, you need Cheryl Sizemore from RE/MAX Advanced Realty. Cheryl Sizemore has over 2 decades of experience, and that could be the difference in you getting the home you want in today's tough housing market. Reach out to Cheryl Sizemore from RE/MAX Advanced Realty at cheryl@indiehomepros.com or 317-298-0961. Cheryl Sizemore from RE/MAX Advanced Realty. Let Cheryl Sizemore get you in the home you want today. Cheryl at indiehomepros.com. In the market for a new or used vehicle? Well, nobody beats the prices and selection of Andy Moore Honda in Bloomington. Right now, get a brand new Honda with no payments for 90 days. That's right, 2023 and 2024 Honda Pilots, HRVs, CRVs, Honda Ridgelines, payment-free for 90 days. Or get 0.9% APR financing for 36 months on a 2023 Honda Ridgeline. Go to AndyMooreHonda.com and get more to your door.
This segment is brought to you by the Fresh Fork in Bloomington.
Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio on this Wednesday. Thank you so much for being with us. Now joined by Rick Bozich from WDRB.com. Rick, how are you doing, sir?
I'm good. How are you guys?
I've been bragging about the fact that the HVAC unit here has not been on in probably over 3 months. I keep the heater set at 62 and deal with that. And so now it's just keep fans and the windows open. It's just been nice enough to where you could deal with it. But today might be the day. It's the humidity already seems to be rising, but I think we're maybe expecting rain today. So there's an explanation for that.
I think we've had the AC on here for over a month. So,
but you're the king. You should be propped up. I'm sure they carry you in on a chariot as well.
I got to keep Ruby cool. She's still rehabbing.
There you go. Your latest piece out talks about Athlon football's predictions for a lot of the area teams, including Indiana, Louisville, Kentucky, Purdue. We'll talk about Purdue. I don't know that I'm not covering them as much yet in football, but I'm not expecting that for whatever reason. I don't feel like that jump is coming from the first year to the second year for Purdue. They lost a lot when they lost Jeff Brom, and not just coaching, but players and all of that.
Yeah, I mean, and they changed the direction of the program. Brom was more of an offensive-minded coach who developed quarterbacks, scored points, and they brought in a guy who's defensively oriented. I know they brought in that coordinator from Texas Tech or whatever who's supposed to be a hot name, but he's not Brom.
He was a Mike Leach guy.
Yeah. But they're trying to build their identity with defense. I was surprised to see Athlon pick them 18th in the league behind Indiana in year 2, because I don't think he's going to gain ground on Kurt Cignetti going forward from what I've seen so far from Kurt Cignetti over the last weekend and over the however many months he's been here. 7? I mean, he's been pretty efficient in trying to A, deliver his message, and B, in terms of connecting with transfers and recruits.
Yeah, and I think Indiana is still getting knocked down because of one reason. It's Indiana. Because no one expects it, until it changes on the field, no one is going to expect it to change, right, especially in the media. They don't have the love of that the fans do, and they're not swayed by that. And until that their minds are changed, because every time they're going like, yeah, well, we've heard this story before. But if you are in the pocket, there is a definitive difference for Indiana. How that translates, we'll see. But I'm going to personally be surprised at the absolute minimum. This is not a bowl team this year for Indiana for a couple of reasons. I've already said it multiple times. The schedule is set up for it in a very favorable way, but also a couple of teams on their schedule like UCLA that's on the road, new coach, new team, basically. Washington comes in here with a new coach, a new team, basically. So they've got several things that are also in their favor, but also being around Kurt Cignetti, you can see and feel it's a palpable difference for that program.
Yeah, I mean, just look at what happened over the weekend. They had 10 of their 11 top recruits coming in, or their targets in the class of 2025, and they've gotten 3 commitments already, 3 or 4, at least 3. And we're talking about guys. The big difference is when you look now at the guys who've committed and they haven't signed, they've only committed this year compared to last year. Who the schools are they're beating out for players, it's a big difference. Towards the end, after Tom Allen lost his momentum, he's beating out, Georgia State and Western Michigan and Western Kentucky and teams like that for players. And Cignetti's, several of these guys have SEC offers, other Big Ten offers. The running back I know had Minnesota and several other Big Ten teams on there. So they've cranked up the recruiting in terms of who the targets are, and it seems like their success rate is also higher than towards the ends of Tom Allen's tenure. Doesn't guarantee anything, but what it has done is, I think it's created a PR boost for Indiana football, in that it resonates with other players saying, hey, these guys are going there, maybe I need to look at it. And B, it should resonate with fans and say, this is different. I mean, and it's obvious the administration is trying to treat it differently too, because this week came out the news where they're changing the seating in the stadium, where they're moving the students to the end zone, I guess, or closer to the end zone.
Yeah, and at first I was trying to visualize that, because there aren't a lot of seats in that end zone area. That when they brought that in, they're in the middle of, there's a lot of offices, like the head coach's offices on one side, the AD's offices on the other side. So they have their areas out in front of those as well. So, and I went back and did some research, and it basically added like 4,000 seats when it to the stadium capacity. And I'm like, okay, so there's 4,000 seats there. Surely to God, there's more than 4,000 students going to football games. They've got 7,000 in basketball. So I'm like, so did they spread out from there? And does having them in, we'll see what that does. It will certainly ramp up the noise on that end, but yeah, that and the new premium suites. We'll talk about that in a second.
Well, I think they want students down there creating noise when the players come on the field for whatever reason. And I also think they want the visual of students sitting in the end zone when you see those shots on television. I I don't think any of this stuff. It's just happening. I think they've got a plan of what they're trying to create here, and that's the next big thing that has to happen. Is Schnetti's never coached a game at IU before. He's never seen what the environment has been like, most likely. And I'm sure if he comes in there for his first game and there's 37,000 people, he's not going to be happy. And I would predict that pretty safely. I mean, I think he feels like he and his staff have put in a lot of work in, and he expects to see people show up for games. Now, whether that'll happen or not, I don't know, but I think this is all that's a big piece of this puzzle. And as you're creating a winning team, you have to have a buy-in from the fan base that they're into football too. So we'll see how that develops.
Yep, absolutely. And they also mentioned adding quote unquote premium seating, more premium seating, which I tweeted that story, but I said I would be loose with the term premium on those seats because they're on the floor level in the end zone. And I'm like, yeah, that's good if they're right at you and coming at you. But other than that, that's if you go to a racetrack, auto racing, the best seats are up high so you can see what the hell's going on.
Yeah. Louisville added those premium suites a couple of years ago. They seem to be popular. I'll say that for them. Jack Harlow, I know, has one in one end zone at Cardinal Stadium. But that's the next, if you're talking about real big picture, that's the next obstacle Indiana needs to fight with is building a better environment in the stadium for premium seating. They're going to have to do a major renovation of Memorial Stadium because the premium seats, the suites they have now are in the end zone. That's not premium. I mean, I don't know anybody that really wants to sit in the end zone. You want a suite on the 50-yard line or the 40-yard line or wherever, and there are none of those at IU. I guess there are right below the press box, which is, as you know, in Indiana, the press box is one of the highest in the country. If you're in the main press box, you're better off watching the game on TV. So that's a change they're going to have to make to build some suites at a lower level. And haven't they discussed doing some kind of renovation of Memorial Stadium?
Yeah, but here's, in my opinion, the essence is there's going to have to be product on the field. The people are going to have to see that whether it's me or anybody thinking that Cignetti, I think that he is going to make a change for that football program. But until that happens, I don't know that the people are going to invest in that because they're investing in so much now with NIL and this and that. But Indiana is extraordinarily far behind as far as facilities in that regard. Pardon me.
Yeah, I mean, the game day experience, people that go to games at other schools that have, good programs, you can go somewhere. I mean, people expect to go somewhere and be in a suite where you can duck your head in. You go in at halftime and have some nice refreshments, pregame, have some nice catered food, TV on where you can watch a game that's on before your game is on. You can possibly duck your head back in there and watch a replay or whatever. And IU doesn't have that other than the suites in the end zone, and they're going to have to find a way to rework Memorial Stadium on one side or the other and build suites. Some like take out the top 15 or 20 rows and build suites. I mean, that's what I think they would have to do.
Absolutely. And we'll get to this conversation, but in lieu of the baseball betting thing, I would say, what about putting some betting parlors in? It's legal in the state of Indiana, so who cares? All of these people are doing it already. Why would it's I'm not saying promote gambling to students, but in suites and things like that, I think that is another way of cashing in on a new world, for lack of a better phrase.
I mean, the pro sports have done it. I know that there's betting facilities. There's one right across the street from the Reds Park, Great American Ballpark. I know that when they renovated Wrigley Field, the Cubs ownership made sure there was a FanDuel or DraftKings place nearby. I'm not sure a college is. I would doubt Indiana would be the first one to do something like that. It would have to be a trend of other schools doing it before they got on board.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. Speaking of the betting issue with baseball, Andrew Saalfrank, one of the 5 guys nailed by Major League Baseball, former Indiana pitcher, was here as recently as 2019. The thing that struck me about those guys is that most of that stuff happened 3+ years ago, and the hard lessons had not been learned yet. That, buddy, you're going to get caught if you do this. That stuff hadn't happened yet. And the fact that, say, Saalfrank hasn't done it since tells me that he probably learned a lesson. And look at the stuff he did. It looks like sheer boredom to me. He bet his bets total were like averaged out at less than $16 per bet. So that's like, 10 cents to me. 10 cents to you rather. And it's going back that hard, man. That's a harsh sentence.
Yeah, I mean, you're right in terms of them finding out about this stuff. It took them a while, but they did nab it. And I think we're going to have more guys get caught. We're going to have college guys get caught. We're going to have other professional athletes get caught doing this because it's just so easy to do. And as you mentioned, guys do get bored, or they think they can make a quick buck and nobody's going to catch them, and they're going to do this. And I think so this is going to become a bigger story as we move forward. It'll spread to other sports. I mean, some of these dudes get on their phone at halftime, man, and they might say, "Hey, our team stinks today. There's no way we're coming back in the second half. What's this point spread for the second half? I can make my dinner money tonight."
Yeah, they're betting their per diem or whatever. So, but we've got Rick Bozich with us here on Indiana Sports Beat Radio, brought to you by the Ugly Grouper down on Anna Maria Island, Florida. Whether you're already in the area or will be, Anna Maria Island or the Ugly Grouper is the place to be. They've got all your favorite craft beers, cocktails, along with live music every day. It's family friendly, able to host private parties, and has the biggest grouper you've ever seen. It is the place to be on Anna Maria Island, Florida. Tell them we sent you. Go to theuglygrouper.com for more information. Back with more with Rick Bozich right after this.
We'll be right back for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
In the market for a new or used vehicle? Well, nobody beats the prices and selection of Andy Moore Honda in Bloomington. Right now, get a brand new Honda with no payments for 90 days. That's right, 2023 and 2024 Honda Pilots, HRVs, CRVs, Honda Ridgelines, payment-free for 90 days. Or get 0.9% APR financing for 36 months on a 2023 Honda Ridgeline. Go to AndyMooreHonda.com and get more to your door. If you're looking for a home in the Indianapolis area, you need Cheryl Sizemore from RE/MAX Advanced Realty. Cheryl Sizemore has over 2 decades of experience, and that could be the difference in you getting the home you want in today's tough housing market. Reach out to Cheryl Sizemore from RE/MAX Advanced Realty at Cheryl@IndyHomePros.com or 317-298-0961. Cheryl Sizemore from RE/MAX Advanced Realty. Let Cheryl Sizemore get you in the home you want today. Cheryl@IndyHomePros.com.
Looking for someone to cater your next corporate event, family reunion, or tailgate? To some, a garnish may be nothing more than just a decoration put last on a plate. But in Bloomington, catering starts with Garnish Catering. Serving all of Bloomington and surrounding areas, Garnish Catering is waiting to help make your next event one to remember. Planning a great event shouldn't have to be stressful. Whether we quote you just for catering or a total event package, you can trust that you're making the right choice with Garnish Catering. Visit garnishcatering.com. That's garnishcatering.com. Garnish Catering is a proud partner of WOW Food Group.
Whether it's a night out with the family, after work with colleagues, or catching the game with friends, Bubba's 33 is the place for you. Bubba's 33 offers a mouthwatering menu of selections that are all made from scratch every day. The portions are big, but the prices are small. And with over 50 big screen TVs, you'll never miss the big game. Bubba's 33 is located just west of I-69 off the Lloyd Expressway. Bubba's 33, pizza, burgers, beer.
country living is just a swing away. It can be hard to find the exact home that fits your family's needs, so there couldn't be a better time to build a new home with Property Shore Construction. Now building exclusively south of Bloomington within the Stonecrest Golf community. Choose from one of the gorgeous Stonecrest Signature Series house plans. We have several lots available with scenic views of the golf course. Contact Amy Rhoda with Revesco Real Estate for additional information. 812-583-0919 or go to mystonecrestliving.com. That's mystonecrestliving.com for more details.
Formerly BB's Chop Shop Market and Table is located on South Walnut in Bloomington and is your one-stop shop for high-quality meats, bakery items, and now fresh seafood. Chop Shop Market and Table has the largest selection of in-house made products around and everything you need to make a gourmet meal at home. Or pick out a tomahawk steak or a grouper filet and enjoy it cooked to perfection in Chop Shop Steakhouse. Chop Shop Market and Table, a part of the Wild Food Group, is your butcher, baker, and fish house, no matter where you live.
This segment is brought to you by Bubba's 33 in Clarksville and Evansville.
Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio, here on this beautiful, I don't know how beautiful it is, Wednesday. I haven't been outside yet. It's humid as heck, I can tell you that. Before I forget, going to be on with Dan Dockage today on his radio show, so that's a first. So I'll be walking through the swamp of alligators.
Wow. What's he want you to talk about?
Just IU sports. So in general, I think, which he doesn't need me to do that, but glad that he asked.
I'm going to rewind the tape here for a second. We were talking about gambling before the break, and I've got a kind of a funny gambling story that I'll share. It was probably back about 1999, 98, somewhere in there. I used to go up quite a bit to Pacers games whenever there was like a local U of L, UK, or IU player playing up there, and the Celtics were up there, and Purvis Ellison was playing for the Celtics. So I went up to do a story on Purvis, and it was actually back at Market Square Arena, and you could go in the locker room before the game. I don't know if you can still do that anymore or not, but you could then. And because I knew him, he said he would talk to me, but he said, you need to wait for a few minutes. I said, okay. And he's like going around locker to locker, and players are giving him money and stuff. And he goes, but just give me a minute. Just give me a minute. Goes around, another player gets more money. He stuffs it on an envelope, and he gives it to one of the ball boys or equipment boys or whatever. And I said, Purvis, what the heck's going on? He goes, do you know how much the Powerball is tonight? I said, no. It was a large number, and all the Celtics players had gotten together and pooled their money and bought, several $1,000s worth of Powerball tickets.
You know what? At the end of the day, these guys, especially the ones they grew up poor, man, they still feel that, even though they have that. It's no shock. I guess it shouldn't be, but it just shows it's kind of hard to get away from your raising. You're still looking, and it's not so much about the money, while it is, but it's about the win. It's the win, baby. Absolutely.
Beating the odds, man. You go tell your buddies. Huh?
Parnelli Jones passed away at the age of 90, one of the greatest names in all of auto racing for a long, long time. He was one of the innovators, man, one of the greats that is heard back in the day. Of course, he was kind of before my time, but I'm well aware of who he is and what all he accomplished.
Yeah, I remember him winning. Didn't he was really good, like in the early 60s, mid 60s.
Yeah.
One of the first drivers I really remember.
70s, maybe. Yep.
Yeah.
He was
kind of predecessor to AJ Foyt and Bobby Unser and then Ray Hall and some of those dudes.
And what a great name, Parnelli.
Yeah.
You got great racing names. No one has the better racing name ever in the history of almost any, well, I won't say any sport, because you got Razor Shines, which that will always stand out. But Will Power,
I mean, man, there was some, parents purposely doing something there, but that's okay. I mentioned earlier that Rick's got a new piece out on WDRB.com talking about the upcoming football season. Louisville, the highest ranked team in the area at number 24 in Athlon by Athlon. Nothing against Athlon, but this stuff is done so far in advance. Teams are not even done filling their rosters yet when that stuff comes out. So how much do you put into it's basically like you're way too early, top 25 in anything.
Yeah, I mean, Phil Steele is usually a more accurate preseason magazine. And he comes out later. I think I signed up to get mine the other day. I think the magazine is actually printed July 1st, so it'll be a more accurate one. ESPN's Bill Connolly's ratings are usually pretty more on the button. So, yeah, it's way early. Most of those teams weren't even done with spring practice when a lot of those stories were written and submitted. So teams, as you know, do a lot of reshuffling, reorganizing of their roster after spring practice. And a lot of that so much of that is also determined by how a team finished last year. And that's even less valuable than it used to be because, when last year ended, some of the best players on these teams hit the portal. So we don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah, absolutely. And that is probably the best name and one of the best names in all of sports. I don't know if best is right, but funniest. Dick Trickle, the old NASCAR racer. I'm going to jump down to Indiana, which is down at 71, of course, based on being Indiana, based on last season, based on all those things that pretty much none of it matters. And whatever went into that, basically none of it matters. And talk about Kurt Cignetti has built a recruiting class that he's been able to do it with guys that are going to have to work harder. I was thinking about this last night, but he's got a top 25 recruiting class right now and he's doing it without having these high-ranking star players. But the guys that are being brought in to Indiana right now are guys that are just going to have to come in knowing that if you want to beat Penn State, if you want to beat Iowa, if you want to beat Washington or UCLA, you're going to have to outwork them right now because a lot of those programs, most of those programs are going to have more, quote, talented players.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to have to be a scout and development program, at least initially, because you're not going to get the 4 and 5 star guys. I know they got the 5-star quarterback visited over the weekend, but he hadn't committed, and we'll see what happens. But yeah, their best players for a number of years have been, sign and development guys. Howard Schnellenberger turned Louisville into a football power with sign and development guys. He didn't have a tremendous number of big name recruits. He had, Ralph Dawkins and Ray Buchanan and Ted Washington. Ted Washington was a big name recruit, but Mike Flores, I can remember some of those guys on his early Fiesta Bowl teams. They were guys that weren't highly ranked recruits that he signed and got him in the weight room and figured it out. Indiana had some of that going when they had David Ballou, and what was the other guy's name? There was 2 of them. The strength and conditioning guys.
Dr. Rhea.
Yeah, that to me was the biggest loss for IU football. When those guys left, I think IU football took a big hit. Those guys were cutting edge dudes, and the fact that they went to Alabama from Indiana shows that they were cutting edge dudes because Nick Saban doesn't hire stiffs, and Alabama, succeeded with those guys. So that's what Indiana will have to do: be good in the weight room, and I think they've invested more money in the weight room, haven't they?
Oh yeah, it's currently either has been redone or is being redone. Not only that, the indoor practice, the Mellencamp Center practice facility, new turf in there, and so that was good. But you mentioned Dr. Rhea and Ballou, the strength coach, and
Well, they also had Kalen DeBoer. They also had Nick Sheridan. They also had
Kane Womack.
In addition to Kevin Peoples, who's now the defensive line coach at LSU. So think about that talent on a coaching staff, but it not all being in the right spot. And that is, I use this as an analogy all the time. And I tell people, I don't care the talent that you have in anything. It doesn't matter if it's a restaurant, if it's an office, if it's a sport, if it's whatever. You got to have the right people in the right positions. If it's basketball, you can't play your center at point guard and your point guard at center. It's just not going to work. So, that hurt Indiana not having the right people in the right places during them, because who knows where they are today. Let's say if Kalen DeBoer was the head coach and all that stuff trickled down and you kept Michael Penix, and it just goes from there.
You're right. I mean, they did have a lot of the pieces there to do some really good things, and then it all just went in the wrong direction real quick. So, those days are behind him, and now you got to see what Cignetti can do. He's done his job so far in terms of convincing people that it's going to be different. He's done a good job of that. And other coaches have been in at IU that have tried it, and I don't think they've been nearly as successful. Now, he hasn't played a game yet. He hasn't had a game yet where he's lost and say, how did they lose that game, as IU regularly does 1 or 2 times every year. But to this point, he's been pretty persistent in terms of selling his vision to what you were there at Huber's last week, and he sold it in that crowd too.
Yeah, and he's done it in a very different way. He's not coming in banging on pans and yelling and using phrases or and I don't mean that as a knock, but no. There's no sideshow stuff. It's just if you ask him, he'll tell you. Other than that, he's nose to the grindstone, and that's why you can tell, at least from my standpoint, because it is a completely different situation, a program that is being run professionally, a staff that has such an incredible, great continuity. He's had those guys for a long time. That says a lot. They believe in what they're doing. So there's just so many positive things. But like I said, he has done what you just said, and he's done it in a way without yelling at the top of his lungs about it.
Right. And he's got a guy. Yeah, some of the younger guys on his staff are in tune with what social media can do for you today. They're really good at communicating with the generation of players they're trying to recruit on social media. You can tell by the way that the responses they get from different things. As Brian, it's not Rod's business. He's very serious about what he's doing. And, as he talked about at Huber's, so they had to get rid of some of the deadwood. I'm sure when he came in there, if there were some dudes that had attitudes were like, I'm not going to do this, or, we're not going to win, or it's not going to change. It's like, okay, get out. That's just the way it's going to be, right? Get out.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Rick Bozich from WDRB.com. What's up next for you, sir?
Oh, getting ready for the NBA Finals. We got Kentucky's in the Super Regional this weekend at home against Oregon State. Oregon State is, a perennial power that's won national championships and actually has the number 1 pick likely in the Major League Baseball draft. So we'll see if Kentucky can earn its first trip to the College World Series. They've never gone, so this is a big moment for them.
And Evansville taking on Tennessee Volunteers this week after Indiana was vanquished. Yeah, the overall number 1 seed. We'll see how that goes in a jam.
It's a heck of a year for Southern Indiana baseball. You had Indiana State, Indiana, and Evansville all making the NCAA tournament. How about that?
Teams north of the Mason-Dixon line, that's kind of a rarity, especially to come from a state small as Indiana, not exactly known as the baseball capital of the world.
I don't know if Connecticut won or not. They were in position to win, but I mean, Evansville and Connecticut would be the only cold weather schools that survived, I think.
Quick, UConn.
They made it.
They're taking on Florida State down in Tallahassee. That's their reward. Other than that, you've got North Carolina, Kentucky, Oregon State. That doesn't really count, but everybody else is Oregon and Oregon State both made it in. So that's
amazing. Oregon, with that Nike money, I don't even think they had a program like a decade ago, and they decided they wanted one, and now
bought some bats. They bought some bats, made some bats.
It'll be a Big Ten rival next year. We'll need to study up on them.
Absolutely. Rick Bozich, thank you, sir. Appreciate you very much.
All right. Thanks, guys.
You betcha. Make sure you give Rick a follow, and everyone else. Kyle Neddenriep from the Indy Star, Dylan Sinn from the Fort Wayne Journal-Gazette on with us today as well. Looking forward to tomorrow. Shannon Griffith on with us, as well as Bob Kravitz, Tyler Smith from the Hoosier.com, who is going to be filling in next week for John, the producer, by the way, and is kind of on that deal today. Chris Denary as well. Big Friday as well. Michael Mangarelli will get caught up on what's going on with these NCAA settlements. Zach Osterman from the Indy Star and Braylon Mullins joins us as well. Thanks to each and every one of you. Without you, we have no reason to be here. And until tomorrow, I'm Jim Coyle. I will see you on the radio.
Thanks for listening to Indiana Sports Beat Radio. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube page for more clips and team coverage of Indiana basketball, football, and more. You can also find full episodes and tons of other content on thehoosier.com. We'll see you next time for another edition of Indiana Sports Beat Radio.